To be or not to be, that is the question. But what does that mean, to be? The question reminds us that when it comes to living, we have a choice, which itself is driven by what you believe is true about life and living. And since this channel is dedicated to helping you understand, among other topics, the significance of belief, let me begin by telling you a story. George was a neighbour in a town in England where I lived at that time. His wife nagged him to go see the family doctor to investigate the mysterious lump which had suddenly appeared on his abdomen. During the examination, the doctor told George that although she believed there was nothing for him to worry about, she would arrange for him to be admitted to the local hospital to have the lump removed and sent to the biology lab at Cambridge Hospital for analysis. To make sure it's not cancer, she said. The procedure was carried out, and George spent a few days in the local hospital recovering from the surgery. He was told the results from the biology lab would take 10 or 14 days to be returned to his doctor, who would then contact him and explain the results. During this time, George became deeply morose and silent. Gone was the happy bloke, always ready with a joke to tell, and the life and soul of any party. Instead, he was completely withdrawn and unresponsive. More worrying still, on his release from the hospital, he began to contact his old British Army friends, many of them scattered across the whole of the British Isles, and visited each of them during the following 2 weeks. The reason, he said, was because he was dying and wanted to say goodbye to all his old friends. But George, the results haven't even come back from Cambridge yet, and your doctor says it's only a benign lump, not cancer. His wife, me, and friends responded. But George was adamant. In his own words, everybody knows when you get cancer, you're dead. A few days later, the results arrived from Cambridge Biology Lab. George was told by his doctor the lump was composed of fatty tissue with no evidence of any cancer cells. Fabulous news, yes? His wife and friends certainly thought so, but George insisted the doctor was lying to him, that he did have cancer and was going to die. As he told me, doctors lie to you to make it easy for you. They know, everybody knows, when you get cancer, you're dead. And less than a week later, George did die. Why was that possible? I recall asking myself. If George did not have any form of illness whatsoever, what caused him to die? That question was answered at his funeral by his sister. She explained that when they were children, their mother had a pathological fear of cancer, to the point that she would read to them from newspaper obituary columns people who were reported as having died from cancer. She would conclude these reports by saying, "Everybody knows when you get cancer, you're dead." In addition, the sister told us, their mother one day found a mysterious lump on her abdomen. The events she described that followed Her mother's panic, insisting she had cancer and was going to die, and did so a few weeks later, mirrored exactly, as if following a scripted instruction, exactly how George had behaved when he found the mysterious lump on his abdomen. George didn't die from cancer or any form of material sickness. He died from a false belief his death was inevitable when he saw that mysterious lump. This event had a huge impact on me and changed the direction in which my own life was pointing at that time. Every weird thing which had happened to me in my life up until that moment, I had been able to pretend were just interesting phenomena and nothing more. And I should just concentrate on my career as a professional engineer. George's death by false belief shattered the scientific logic block within my own psyche, which was preventing me from accepting the fact that something or someone was trying to tell me something. That perhaps what I believed was true about sickness and death was not. Coincidentally, I read in a book that when confronted with evidence which challenges an accepted truth, one should resist one's immediate reaction to reject the evidence in order to preserve the truth as valid. Instead, one should accept the possibility that this new contrary evidence might be true, do more research, and form one's own conclusion as to what is or is not the truth. With that new acceptance within me came an avalanche of other weird coincidences and happenings which swept me up and carried me to another point of view, which was completely to alter my perception of what I thought reality was. I realized the one thing which prevents all of us understanding what is really happening in our lives, from how we relate to one another, to health, sickness, history, science, earth, moon, sun, and stars, is directly related to what we believe is true, regardless if that belief is based on fact or fiction. If we believe it, we will see it. What I was later to discover is the false beliefs I and everyone else is absolutely riddled with are the true cause of harm, fear, anxiety, misery, sickness, conflict, and unhappiness you and me experience in our lives. And when you know how to identify them and root them out as a gardener plucks weeds from a soil and replaces them with plants which bring health and beauty in the garden of your mind, only then can we find peace, health, wealth, success, and happiness in our lives. Therefore, the question, to be or not to be, means, are you willing to accept the possibility that to be a truth seeker and the eliminator of false beliefs is the reason why you're in this life? That there is a possibility that this proposal might be true, and that you also are gifted with choice to be that truth seeker or not? I will leave you to ponder. Thank you for listening. Be alive, my friends, on purpose.